More money, more problems. For public schools, a watchdog group opened the books and found as salaries increased, students' standardized test scores actually dropped. Joining us now to discuss is the Deputy Public Policy Editor of OpenTheBooks.com, Rachel O'Brien. Good morning to you. Great to see you.
Morning.
Your organization studied 12,500 school districts across the country. So first tell us what you looked for specifically and also what you found.
Yeah, so we compared the 2019 payroll to the 2023 payroll of teachers and administrators in each state to see the increase in pay, and at the same time looking at the change in each state's ranking for the National Assessment of Educational Progress, that's the NAEP, and that measures reading and math skills for 4th and 8th graders. So we found while schools may hope that increasing their payroll will help students perform better, there's little evidence that is what happens. In fact, the opposite seems to be true in many cases. On average, a growing payroll is associated with lower test scores. We saw in 6 states that increased their payroll by at least 23%, their student performance went down. Virginia, Vermont, Oregon, Mississippi actually decreased their student performance. New Mexico saw no change. Utah moved up slightly. And we saw the converse in some cases. You saw Miami-Dade public schools in Florida. They had the second best exam scores in 2024 looking at large cities, but they only spent $6,400 per student, the 5th lowest among large cities. So you see an inverse relationship sometimes here.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not talking about teacher salaries because they are already underpaid in most cases, right? This is more at the higher administrative level and also where there are too many administrators.
Exactly. We're not suggesting that increasing teacher pay causes students to do poorly.
Correct.
Even minimally increasing teacher pay does have a small impact on students. What we are seeing is the administrator pay is most likely to blame for this negative correlation with student achievement. So administrative bloat is a problem. When you look at the number of non-teaching staff at schools between 1950 and 2009, right? So almost 60 years, it increased over 700% in that 60-year span. But if you look at teachers, that only increased 250%. So far more administrators are being hired and administrators are being paid incredibly well. Between 2010 and 2022, again, administrators rose by 41%, but regular school employment by only 10%. Baltimore is a great example. They were in 2019, their test scores ranked 22nd in the country. By 2024, Baltimore had increased salaries by 43%, a huge increase.
Wow.
However, student exams still ranked 22. And they have a huge number of administrators. Less than half of their 13,000 employees are teachers or principals. They have this administrative bloat of people in similar roles.
Did you say less than half are teachers?
That teachers or principals. Principals are included in this.
Wow.
So principals are administrators, right? We think of traditionally, but we're seeing administrators taking up so many jobs that never existed before. In Baltimore, they have the senior executive director of equity making over $200,000. There are 10 more people in similar roles as directors of equity also working for the district. These are jobs that simply never existed before.
And your calculations do not include their benefits package, which of course is why some would go into this field.
That's right. So they're not included in the payroll. This is straight up paychecks. And of course, benefits do redirect resources away from students. Pensions are huge. Money sucks, especially for states that have pension debt. There was a report recently from the Reason Foundation that per pupil spending in the U.S. increased by 21% from 2022 to 2019, right? Per pupil spending, 64% of it was to pay benefits. And so this is a huge number. And this all comes down to, you talk about per pupil spending, it all comes down to the importance of analyzing not how much is spent per student, but on what.
Deputy Public Policy Editor of OpenTheBooks.com, Rachel O'Brien. Great to have your insight on this. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend.